Hi, I'm Jeff Baxter, but I think I'm known to most of you as Jeff Skunk Baxter from my days playing with Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers. And I'm here with some of my best friends in the world. I've got the harmony guys over here, a choral sitar from the East. This is a fugitive from the 1963 Sears catalog, the Silvertone guitar with case. My Irish buddies, the Ovation Brothers, a couple of Fenders, Sparkly Goya back there, and of course, two very close friends of mine, Mr. Dan Electro and Mr. Dan Jellicoe, and our own Gibson girl. You know, in the zillions of years I've been playing this guitar, I've gotten to know it pretty well. Still, there's a lot about it that remains a real mystery to me. What is the guitar? And why has it become the musical symbol of power and high technology? How could such a beautiful and sensitive instrument be mass-produced on a production line like an automobile or a washing machine? Why is it painted colors like candy apple red, robin's egg blue, gold sparkle, covered with chrome and given car names like Mustang and Jaguar? And why are those who play it idolized and even called gods? What is this thing anyway? And why does everybody want to be a guitar player?
Why do guys play the guitar?
Why do guys play the guitar? I would say that anybody that, any young, virile boy
Right.
with red blood in his veins picks up a guitar to impress girls. I mean, wouldn't you say? What did you pick up a guitar for?
It was the sound of the guitar bending, man, and the reverb and stuff like that, you know, which I didn't know what was going on at the time. It was just, and the sound, just the whole feeling of the whole thing. I was into it.
It's a symbol, you know? It's a symbol of expression, it's a symbol of rebellion, it's a symbol of freedom.
The sound, the way the strings vibrate, it's a very personal instrument.
That's why this instrument is the most popular instrument, other than, say, a voice, you know, because it can really speak.
I love it. I mean, it's just like the coolest thing on the planet.
It's such a powerful instrument, electric guitar. I mean, you know, it's a rock and roll is the guitar.
So, what have we got? We've got a twang, we've got a voice, we have a cymbal, we have the ladies, we have the coolest. Well, that's a pretty good start, but I'd like to try to find out a little bit more. Let's talk to a few more friends of mine, beginning with a guy that I've always referred to as my little brother, Mr. Brian Setzer.
You know, this is the guitar that made me really play guitar. I bought it when I was 17 years old because it looked like Eddie Cochran's. When I put this thing on the couch and I kind of angle it, I mean, it's a woman. I mean, there's something in the feel when you pick it up and hold it and pull it and play it. It's sexual, or at least sensual. It really is. And there isn't a day goes by that I just kind of have to grab it and touch it and play it and pick it and do stuff to it. Boy, they're really man's toys, aren't they? You know, all my friends have tattoos, play guitar, drive hot rods. Those are the kind of people I hang out with. And they're all intertwined. You like it all. It's all part of the cool stuff to like, you know. My friends don't drive Volvos and stuff, you know. They got 57 Chevys or hot rods, and they're into, you know, cool guitars like this. You know, they don't play the Gumby guitars, I call them, with the points and the jagged edges. This guitar is rock and roll.
You've seen him playing in Toto. You've heard his licks on scores of platinum albums. These are the magic fingers of my good, wild, and crazy friend, Steve Lukather.
Well, I started playing when I was like 7 years old.
Right.
You know, I mean, just playing like...
Why?
Why? Because, well, actually, the first tune that I ever heard that, like, freaked me out was, what was it, the solo in I Saw Her Standing There.
Yeah, when did you start playing the guitar to get chicks?
Well, I didn't realize that you could do that until I played at my 6th grade graduation. And all the girls started screaming and shit like that. So it was pretty funny, you know. It was like living the dream when you're like 11 years old.
What went through your mind?
And all of a sudden I became like, you know, a cool person at school, you know. I mean, I was a geek before that, right? And then play the guitar and you're a cool person, right?
Right.
Very simple concept.
What would you have done if you weren't a guitar player? I mean, did you ever have any kind of other, like, dream?
No, you know what I'd be doing if I wasn't playing guitar? You want fries with that?
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty much it, you know. I mean, it was like I had to do this. I had to make this work because I don't know how to do anything else, you know.
That's right, you got it, Sam Kinison. Now, you've always known him as a great comedian, but this man is serious about playing the guitar.
I was sent away to Bible school. I met this guy named Wayne Richardson, and he was like the coolest guy in school because he was so humble. But he played a great nylon string guitar. And this guy showed me some stuff. So like in the matter of 2 or 3 months, I forgot about the Bible. I was just told this was my new friend. I never really felt like I'd had. It was like my brand. I never had like a best friend growing up because I was ashamed of that we lived in a church and I didn't want to bring anybody to my house because I didn't want to see that, you know, I didn't have a house. You know? So I was never really socially, you know, very open to people and stuff. And and it became like my friend. And I ran away shortly after that, and all I took with me was my guitar.
Brian, Luke, and Solo and Sam. You guys are trying to tell me that this guitar thing has something to do with sex and love and friendship and freedom. Well, okay, these are things you can relate to, not just here in America, but worldwide. So let's blow this pop stand, and we're going to go to a place that's known for some serious legendary guitar players. This is Carnaby Street, the heart of London, England, home of the Beatles, the Kinks, the Yardbirds, the Rolling Stones, and Burt Weedon. Burt Weedon? You may recognize the song. That's Apache, a classic instrumental made famous by a British group, The Shadows. But you probably don't know the original recording belonged to this man. Burt has been associated with the guitar in England since the 1940s, but he's best known for writing a book called How to Play the Guitar in One Day. And he says it works.
And suddenly he said, I can play the guitar!
This is great, Burt Weedon. Oh, man. See, I don't know you very well.
Nobody knows me in America.
In America, but everybody in England had the Burt Weedon guitar guy. I don't believe I'm holding this book. And Pete Townsend.
Yes.
Eric Clapton.
Yes. Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney.
John Lennon.
All these guys went out and paid 4
shillings and
shillings and sixpence for this book. Because of Bert's reputation with the book, I decided to play a little trick on him by telling him I had a friend who was looking for a guitar lesson from an expert. But, I mean, if you got, you want to take a lesson with Bert? Oh, wow. That's right. The friend is Dire Straits' Mark Knopfler. Here you go,
Yes,
Mark.
This is basically a lie. Playing a day.
You can play a chord in a day.
No, you said you give you your money. You give him your money
I'll give him
back.
the money back. What did you pay for it, Mark?
Well, I think it was about 4 and 6.
Oh, well, then I made threepence out of it.
That's what it says right there. It's 4 and 6.
4 and 6.
See, he bought it.
Basically, it's a love affair. I mean, I know what Fender catalogs smell like. I know what they smell like. I used to smell the paper of a Fender catalog, you know.
Oh, it was all glossy, and each page was a different, the Jazzmaster.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the Jaguar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then just half an hour luxuriating, you know, amongst the amplifier section, in the amp section, and back to the guitars.
Oh, boy.
I never, remember, I knew exactly what a Fender Strat cost, you know, down to the last shilling and sixpence. And I remember my dad looking at me with a kind of horror on his face. It was sort of, what have I spawned? You know, he just knew that I was lost to it. I mean, schoolwork, everything. Basically, it was girls, guitars, girls, cars.
Girls.
Girls, cars, guitars, girls, guitars, girls.
Amps, girls.
Yeah.
Cars, girls.
Girls, cars, guitars. And basically, we don't change.
Okay, now take me where you want me to go. It's your turn.
I'd make it even more simple.
Okay.
Being an illiterate. Something like that.
Earlier, I mentioned the Shadows, the English band that was rocking it long before the Beatles came on the scene. So now I'm looking for a TV studio here in the Carnaby Street area where I'm going to do something a little unusual. I've made some arrangements to talk and play with the lead guitarist for the Shadows, the one and only Hank Marvin. So what's unusual about that? Well, he lives in Perth, Australia, and I'm here in London. So we're going to visit Hank by satellite hookup. Beam me up, Hank. Oh, by the way, greetings from London. Perfect. Perfect. This was wonderful. I think we've either created history or probably maybe this is the end of satellite broadcasting as we know it.
We probably destroyed our careers, Jeff.
Hank Marvin, one of my favorite guitar players on the planet. I was just...
Jeff Baxter, a man of taste.
Oh, thank you, sir. Well, why is it that you started playing the guitar? Were you like a little guy and didn't get a chance to play a lot of athletics, or you just wanted to play it? Was there some reason why the guitar appealed to you as opposed to the saxophone or the cor anglais?
Well, I like the music, really. What turned me on to the guitar was actually the sound. That sound that we heard on the early American rock records. That twanging sound, you know, the... In Britain and in Europe, we weren't hearing that. We were hearing from British guitarists and European guitarists really that soft, jazzy sound, because most of them wanted to play jazz. And when they got down to playing rock and roll, they couldn't cut it because they weren't interested. And here was this incredible twanging guitar sound by guys like Scotty Moore, Buddy Holly, James Burton, Cliff Gallup. It was just sensational, and I wanted to try to emulate that sound, and I'm still trying.
Sounded pretty good to me. Can you give me some idea about what the guitar really is?
To me, initially, it was something which had a good image. It looked good hanging around your neck. When I was sort of 15, 16, that was the instrument that looked good. Secondly, it was portable. You could easily carry it around, get it out at a party, and start playing and singing. You know, with a piano, difficult. So many different styles. It's an instrument which, because of its inherent versatility, different gauges of strings, different sounds to an amplifier, you can almost be what you want to be with the instrument. You can be, as you said, aggressive. You know, nasty. You can be gentle, and you can be romantic. Want to dance? So I think it means anything you want it to mean, Jeff, and that's one of the great things about the guitar. And I think that's why it's lasted so long and why it will last in pop music.
You want to try something like, I did Apache with Bert the other day, and that was kind of fun. You want to pick one of your tunes that we can do? Because I think I know most of them.
Yeah, you probably know more than I do. What haven't we played? What about FBI?
Okay, I'm catching a train to Birmingham. That's a tough industrial town just north of London, and it's the home to some great rock and roll bands like Black Sabbath. An old friend of mine, Paul Atkinson, once played with an English rock and roll band called the Zombies. Now an executive with MCA Records, Paul knows why the gritty industrial towns in northern Britain produce so many hot guitar players.
I mean, learning to play the guitar was a way of breaking out of frankly, what was a poverty-stricken life. You know, for most families in the north of England, Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle, Scotland, either you went down a coal mine, or you joined the merchant navy, or you played the guitar.
I'm visiting Birmingham to see a man whose desire to play the guitar was so compelling that he overcame an almost insurmountable handicap. That's Black Sabbath's Tony Iommi.
Like when I took the ends of my fingers off, was like a day before I was going to leave that job.
What was that?
I used to do sheet metal work,
right.
And it was a sheet metal work presser that came down and caught them, and your reaction to pull your hand back just took the ends off. I was going to stop playing, and I thought I could never play again. It just blew me away. And then I started trying to play with two fingers, and I thought, it's no good, I just can't do it. And it happened that one of the managers of the firm brought me a record round of Django Reinhardt. And I couldn't believe it. I'd never heard of Django Reinhardt at the time. And he said, just play it. And I said, no, I don't want to play it. He says, just play it. I said, why? You know, he said, well, you'll see, and I'll explain when you put it on. And he put it on, and I was great, you know. He said, he's only got two fingers. And it's totally, you know, got me back into thinking, well, if he's done that, if he's managed to do that, then, you know, but I'd give up. I thought, there's no way I'll be able to do it again, you know, play. When they were sort of more or less bandages were off and all that stuff, I was still playing with two fingers, and I went to hospitals to ask them if they could do anything. They says, no, you give up. That's what that was their advice. No, you've had it. You're gonna have to stop. I wouldn't accept that, particularly after hearing Django Reinhardt. I wouldn't accept that it can't be done. So I went back home and trying to think of something. I've seen various people, and everybody said more or less the same. So what I'd done, I got those squeezy bottles, the fairly liquid bottles, type thing, plastic things.
That's like dishwasher stuff?
Yeah. And I melted it down into a ball, made it into a ball, got a hot soldering iron and made sort of a hole in it, so it fitted the finger. Then I sat there for hours on end, just doing it down with sandpaper, until we got sort of more or less like a tip.
Well, I'm back in London, and guess where I am? It's Abbey Road. This is where the Beatles recorded, along with countless other groups, including the legendary Pink Floyd. Very nice. There's a remarkable young musician from Newcastle named Thomas McRocklin, who Stevie Vai refers to as the Mozart of the guitar because he's a killer guitar player and he's only 11 years old. Thomas is a shy and quiet lad in every other way, but just listen to him play. This is 48th Street between 6th and 7th Avenues in New York City. This is where all the great music stores are. When I was a kid and I was 13 years old, I used to work over there. My place used to be called Jimmy's Music Shop. Frank and Jimmy Squilacci hired me for $1.25 an hour to carry twin reverbs up 2 flights of stairs in the middle of August. Look at all these music stores, man. Amps, drums, keyboards. There's a cat with a bass guitar here, man. Hey, homie, what's happening, man?
How you doing?
Sam Ash, one of the great music stores. Hey, man. We buy guitars. There's got to be more guitars over there than in all the music stores in the United States. My friend Steve runs that. Our main reason for stopping off in New York is to visit Les Paul, whose pioneer multi-track recordings in the 50s with his late wife, Mary Ford, first made the electric guitar popular.
My whole thing on playing the harmonica, playing the piano, playing the saxophone, the drums, and all the junk I went through in the early days, they were all stepping stones to lead to the guitar. And when I got the guitar, I found that I had a psychiatrist, a housewife, I had a mistress, I had a cook. I had everything all in one. Was something I could wrap around my arms and I could play. And that guitar and I, we just latched on together and we says, we're gonna be buddies for life.
Less a surprise guest of the night is Brian May from Queen.
Early this morning, my baby made me sore. Early this morning, my baby made me sore. She said, I'm gonna leave you, can't be with you never no more. Where did you sleep last night? I said, tell me, pretty mama, where did you sleep last night? She said, it's none of your business, baby, 'cause I treat you right.
I'm very obsessed with sound, you know. My nightmare is to go on stage and plug it in and the audience to be there and it doesn't sound right. That's what I hate most of all. Because then you've lost your voice. It's like, you know, it's trying to speak with you with no voice, and that scares me, I suppose. So, but if it sounds good, then it's great. I feel at home. I can cope if I've got the guitar in my hand. And I think going back to childhood, that's why it happened, because I was very, in common with a lot of other very extrovert, supposedly guitar players, I was very shy as a kid, you know, and didn't have the courage, or found it very hard to get up and ask a girl to dance or something, you know. So the way I got through it was I would go to the dance and I would be on the stage. I wouldn't be down there with all these problems. I would be on the stage, and I would, with the guitar in my hand, I was confident. I was fine. I could make my noise and have a lot of fun and not have to deal with those kind of problems of relationships which come down to problems of yourself. You know.
Where's Al Dimio?
There's magic when two guitarists are conversing, a call and response kind of thing, which is, you know, something that's not very new, but it's certainly done a lot in jazz. But I love that the most, especially with two instruments that are the same. You know, to get that kind of dialogue happening is cool. Music and notes and guitar speaks much better for us than words can ever speak. We don't have the depth in words to speak like this does. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I hear some things that I'm writing and I hear it on a playback and I start to cry inside. I go, my God, it's saying something so deep that I could have never explained. You know that, but we don't talk about it, but we know that.
Well, in case you haven't figured it out, this is Nashville. Loretta Lynn's Western Stores, Conway Twitty's Souvenir Shop. There's even a guy over there in the foot-long corn dog stand sitting out there with an electric piano singing country western songs. And everybody comes to this town with a guitar. I think the guitar of all the instruments probably speaks the voice of country music more than any other instrument. And when I think of the guitar and I think of Nashville, I think of Chet Atkins.
To me, the guitar is it's my security blanket. I don't know where I'd be without the guitar. I'd hate to think, but I love it with a passion that will follow me to the grave, I'm sure. I owe everything to the guitar, that and friends who helped me along the way.
It's midnight, and we're at the Bluebird Cafe. These songwriters hang out in Nashville. Now, joining Chet and me on stage is an old friend, songwriter, great guitar player and producer, Steve Cropper. Any guitar player passing through Nashville should definitely visit the Gibson Guitar Factory. It's a real spirited place, and it's filled with the smell of wood and the sounds of people and machines making guitars. Jim Triggs takes Steve and me on a tour. Now, I know this looks like a bunch of Boris Karloffs, but actually it's the bindings being glued to the guitar bodies. More gluing, this time the neck to the body. Of course, lots of painting in all different colors. This time we're painting them gold. Now there's a dance for you, doing the Nashville Shuffle. Right on, man. When Jim wasn't looking, Steve and I slipped away with this guitar. I don't think they'll ever miss it.
Did okay? I think we did good today.
I think we did really good, man.
I love going to the Gibson plant.
Me too. Gibson is always so nice to us. Yep. Now, this is not just a hole in the wall, this is the hole in the wall, which means we're in Austin, Texas. We're talking about the fabulous Thunderbirds, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jerry Jeff Walker, Timbuk 3. This is a home of country rock. It's also the home of my favorite guitar player, a guy named Eric Johnson.
I was fascinated with the shape of guitars when I was a kid. The more pickups and knobs, it's like, God, that's great. And just the, the surf look of the offset body style of the Fender Jazzmaster and Jaguars, and being at the beach with the Corvettes and the girls, and the whole effect was just so enticing, Plus it was kind of a little bit rebellious, playing rock, and having big amps and Fender guitars. There was a certain visual romance, definitely.
Now, I think Joe Satriani is a magical guitar player, but he believes it's the player, not the instrument, that holds the magic.
The guitar is a really cool instrument. It is really cool, and it does twang in a way that makes the hearts of people all over the world sit up and listen. But it is just a man-made thing. It is in transition. This guitar here is a product of, what, a couple hundred years of stuff? But most of what you see is a product of maybe 20 years' work or something like that. You know, these kind of pickups, this vibrato bars, switches that go like this, you know, and funny paint jobs, you know, like crazy people. It's still though, like, if you view the inspiration of a musician as maybe the starting point, then this is like the middle point. I think the end is the listener. Yeah, 1, 2, and then the audience is 3. That's kind of like how it goes, I think. So it's just a guitar, you know what I mean? Because when you're not inspired and you're playing like dirt, well then the guitar sounds worse. But it isn't the guitar's fault, is it? You know. So if it was such a great thing, it would always make you sound great. It would truly be the instrument of freedom. But it is also the instrument of pain.
When people write their list of favorite guitar players, the one that's always near the top is B.B. King. Here at a TV telethon rehearsal, I renew an old friendship. When it comes to a player's personal relationship with his guitar, nobody tells it better than when B.B. King talks about Lucille.
The sounds that come from the guitar has always been soothing to me. Nobody believes you if you got a story you're trying to tell, or nobody seems to understand your problems, whatever it may be. Even your best friends, sometimes you try to talk to. Nobody seems to really understand you. I can pick up the guitar, and the guitar seemed to help me with my problem.
I guess it's someplace you can go when you can't talk to anybody else, when you're feeling up, when you're feeling down. The guitar is your best friend.
I still sleep with the stupid thing sometimes, you know what I mean? I know that it's just a wire and wood, you know? I make it a personality because of the way I view the thing.
I can't stand not playing guitar at some point because it's like working out or something. And just blow off a lot of steam. And boy, when you have a good night, you're really ripping some licks out. It's as good as sex. I don't know if not better.
For me, the thrill is never gone, especially when I get to play with someone like Lindsay Buckingham. You know, there are certain things that keep coming up again and again. Like, what is this sex thing with guitar players?
I ran into Don Felder, and we had a band. He was in our band. And he was the lead guitar player. So he did not have to come to practice, and he showed up at the last minute for all the gigs, played his part, walked off with the neatest looking chick in the place, and that was it. That is when I noticed it the first time.
Plus, Elvis got all these chicks by playing the guitar, so, you know, that was real important, you know, a big impression, you know. Well, kids see that on MTV today, you know. Only chicks look a lot better.
Well, out of all the instruments, you're going to get laid more playing the guitar than you are the piano, you know what I mean?
I never had that problem with girls. I never had that problem like Elvis of having to beat the girls off with a stick. Must be nice.
Another thing that's curious is during the 1950s, there was a movement in this country to ban the electric guitar. What, are you kidding me?
That's incredible to hear. I guess they associated that with like the devil and all things bad, you know, like the right-wing groups now are trying to ban all sorts of rap music and stuff coming from the street. At that time, rock and roll really was a street music, you know. It was rebellious music, you know.
You know, rock and roll scared a lot of people in the 50s. I'm sure the powers that be dealt with as much as they could, dealt with as much as they could, as well as they could. You know, putting Elvis in the army, that was a good symbolic gesture.
Fear and ignorance.
Well, I think it's got to be fear, isn't it, I suppose?
We can do something they can't. And it's like we know about something that they don't, and it works.
Well, because electric guitar represents rock and roll, and a lot of people think that rock and roll represents rebellion, especially kids rebelling against their folks. So,
Would you say that's true?
to a lot of kids, sure.
The electric guitar, like any instrument, is what you make it, isn't it, Jeff? You know, it's like a chainsaw. You know, you can use it for something good, or you can use it to chop people's legs off, which I never have, interestingly.
I don't know. There's a couple of young guitar players that are afraid of me. But, you know, I'm afraid of my ex-wife, so...
I know her. Her name is
Plaintiff.
Plaintiff.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you probably met her.
Let's see what happens when I take their guitars away.
Oh, no. I got to have that.
Why? I mean, just tell me exactly what you feel.
It feels good.
Right.
I feel like you took part of me away. Give me that.
So how much of your identity has to do with the guitar?
Now I'm nervous.
Really?
Yeah, I'm used to having that to hide myself behind. Couldn't be a lead singer in a band with no guitars.
Is there a Jennifer Batten that's not the guitar? In other words, if I just kind of
No.
take that, I mean, is there a Jennifer Batten now?
Yeah, the Burger King queen, I guess.
Well, I don't want to make you feel here. I mean, you know,
Thank you.
I had
My pacifier.
no. Okay, as you can see, I've had a chance to hang out with, jam, and talk with almost 30 guitar players on both sides of the Atlantic, and even one in Australia, and I had to do that by satellite. Still trying to find the answer to my question, what is the guitar? I think I got a little more of a handle on it, and there's no doubt about it, I've had a great time playing with all these guys and gals. In fact, I think I'd like to play with a few more, say 50, maybe 100, maybe 200. Or what would you say about jamming with 500 guitar players? That's 500 guitar players, and they're all playing at the same time. And I think that's got to be a world record. But am I any closer to the answer to my question? Well, I think if you ask 100 guitar players, you get 100 answers. This is my friend. This is my shield that protects me from other people. Guitar makes me look cool, man. The guitar is a way for me to express my innermost feelings. It's a ticket out of a place where I don't want to be. It's my lover, it's my wife, it's my housekeeper, it's my cook, it's my bartender. And the guitar is just a piece of wood with strings on it. But the one thing I've learned from all this is the thing I think I knew about the guitar all along. That I just love to play.